Welcome, Bulldog football fans, to another edition of Coffee with the Coach. No, I'm not Curtis Glenn, but I am the crew, better known as Cole Witter. And today I am sitting here with Coach Johnson instead of him. And so, Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Cole. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, no problem. I'm here.
Yes, you're here.
All right, so heartbreaking loss last Friday night, 1-point loss. So my first question is going to be, what was the reaction, or what I would like to say the vibe going into the locker room after this loss last Friday?
Everybody was disappointed. I mean, like I said last week, anytime you take the field, you want to win. I don't think you go out expecting to lose, and we certainly had a lot of tears and sadness, which in reality is actually a good thing because that means it matters. And so they were disappointed, and I think that carried a little farther than it should into Monday, but we got that corrected by Monday afternoon. And so we're ready to move on and find another bright spot.
There were a lot of good things that happened Friday night, and so talk about what you saw on Friday night's game that was good and that you can build off of moving forward to Georgetown.
Well, again, you play a non-traditional football team that runs a unique offense that we said all last week that was going to be something we had to figure out and find a way to stop, as everybody they play does, and we had to outlast them. And I thought our offensive unit played phenomenal and did a great job of executing the game plan that we had laid out to attack Leander Glenn. But then on the flip side of that, defensively, we didn't do a very good job of spilling tackles into their off-trap play. I thought that hurt us quite a bit. And then, of course, they had a couple of long runs with their quarterback, which were naked rollouts. And our linebackers, when they saw quarterback roll out, well, what do you think when you see quarterback roll out? A lot of times you think it's going to be a pass. So they dropped into coverage, and he just kept on running. There's nobody to cover. So they did a great job. Leander Glenn did a great job of making adjustments when our defense started to kind of figure it out and put in that quarterback belly, that quarterback boot, and we didn't cover it very well with our linebacker play. And, again, we didn't spill very good out of the linebackers. They had a bad night in terms of what they had to do and what they had to accomplish. But offensively, we had an excellent night. Where we got, you could talk an awful lot about the defense and not being able to stop that offense. But, guys, at the end of the day, we missed an extra point. We went for two after our first touchdown and missed that. That's 3 points right there. And then we go for a field goal, which the snap was high and forced my holder to put it down. So I don't know if we make that field goal or not, but those are 6 points that are left on the board where if you have one of them, it's a tie game. If you have two of them, you win the game. And so every point matters.
So you guys have 2 weeks down and two games under y'all's belt. What is your feeling, and how do you feel about this team going into week 3?
Oh, they're still great kids. They're still working their tail off. They're still together. So, like I said, we had a tough start to Monday just because they were in their pity party a little too long, and finally, during our workout, we blew them up and told them, hey, come up here. We're going to talk to you. And we had a little powwow with our leaders. And so then ended up going outside and having a great practice. So they understand the mission and the vision of what we're trying to do.
I still think that it's one of the most exciting things to see and hear you talk about your leaders and how much they've improved. So would you say they led the charge on Monday to get everybody back into the right mindset?
Absolutely. Our captains met this morning as well, and we try to do that once a week just with them and myself to talk about a litany of things, whether it be travel, whether it be uniform, whether it be the pregame meal, whatever it is. We try to meet once a week, and so absolutely those kids have stepped up and done a great job.
You guys are going on the road this week, and what is your message to the guys, to the team, as y'all go on the road for the first time?
Well, it can't be a late start. Like the last 2 weeks offensively, we have started slow for whatever reason, and then we kind of click it into gear. And then defensively, we've actually gotten teams off the field early on, and then kind of as the game's progressed, falling apart. So we got to start quicker on offense. We got to rally a little bit more on defense. But it's not a. We're not going to Six Flags. It's not the Six Flags senior trip. We're going down there to play a football game in a tough environment. And so, Georgetown, we know what they are. They're the number 9 ranked team in the state. We get it. They're 2-0. We get it. But honestly, I think from an offensive standpoint, I think this is the best team. I think we are the best team they've faced on their schedule. That doesn't mean anything, but gives us as coaches a little bit of something to think about. We've had our hands full with these guys the last 2 years, and so we're excited. We had a great work weekend. Coaches were in good spirits and really excited about the game plan that they put together. This will be a good football team, and it'll be a good test.
Business trip, huh?
Business trip.
Nice. I like that. I like it when coaches on any level preach it's a business trip, and when I played sports, it was always business trip. Here we go, boys. There's no messing around. Let's go. Let's get after it.
Yeah, if you're going for the Chick-fil-A, don't get on the bus. Yeah, I agree. After this commercial break, we'll come back and Coach will talk about the offense, the Bulldog offense against the Georgetown defense. You're listening to Coffee with the Coach on Bulldog Radio. We're back here with Coffee with the Coach, with Coach Johnson, and we're going to talk about the Bulldog offense against the Georgetown defense. Coach, what stands out about the Georgetown defense to you and your coaching staff? I think they're aggressive, number one, and they are well coached. They're a group of young men. They returned 9 starters from last year, so that defense is very experienced. So with 9 guys back that actually played in this game last year against us, we got our hands full. The bell cow of that guy would be number 62, Dylan Tuberville. Number 38, excuse me, Dylan Tuberville at defensive end, and their middle linebacker, Chance Kelly. So both those 2 young men are returning all-district players for their district, and both those young men are all over the field, make a lot of plays. So we've got to definitely take care of them and understand what they're doing. Haven't quite, because of the teams they've played, haven't quite figured out what they'll do on the back end versus us. They will play a lot of cover 4, cover 2, and so we'll see what they choose to do to our receivers. That's going to be a reoccurring theme every week, what people want to do there. Last week, and the same in the first week, we got 6 and 7 man boxes, and kind of they dared our guys to make plays, and they did. And then they dared us to do RPOs, which we didn't do a very good job of the RPOs. Last week, they were there. I think Arthur Miller was open, 6-7 times, but it's hard to argue with the quarterback when he's hitting Tristan Glass for almost a school record 252 yards receiving in a game. So can't really argue, but we want to definitely bring it to their attention that this week with this aggressive unit and 9 guys back that have played together now for 2 years, we've got to really be sharp in reading our keys.
Talking about the King and Glass connection, what makes Glass such a dynamic target for King?
I think honestly, the ball placement is just as much Anthony King as Tristan Glass. Anthony King's playing great right now. I had a reporter call me last night asking me about him and some of the things that he's doing. And so he's making good decisions with the football. He's not making bad decisions, knock on wood back here somewhere. But Glass and him have played together since junior high, so they have a connection. But Arthur Miller's just as capable of having a breakout night as is the Adams kid. So we have some really talented people there, and Anthony's doing a great job of just running our offense.
Like you were saying, you just got to make the reads because they may go after Glass, and then you got to find the next guy, which could be any one of those receivers, like you said. And everybody in that receiving room is really dynamic and can open it up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The running game seemed to be just a little bit better against Ellison, and it seems to be improving from week to week. So what will it take for it to be even better this week as you go up against Georgetown?
Well, I think Georgetown's front is a little more active than the last two fronts we've faced, although Ellison's front was much better than I thought they looked on tape. This particular group is going to be disciplined, Georgetown. They're not gonna bite on silly stuff. They're going to be in their gaps. They're going to be gap sound. They're going to be where they're supposed to be, and they're going to rally to the ball. So for us, we have to sustain drives and not always go for the home run, but take meticulous shots down the field. Not get impatient with the run game, as you mentioned. We have two guys that are playing at a high level. We actually have a couple other running backs that haven't even touched the ball yet, per se, in any kind of a serious time, because the first two guys are really good. But you have seen bursts from Cuthbert. I mean, the guy's an elite track guy. We'd like him to be more patient inside. Where you put Ziegler in, Ziegler is very patient. He's bigger. He is more of a read the flow of the line and then make a cut. I think Cuthbert gets sometimes a little impatient, but it's hard to argue when he bounces and goes 80 yards. For a touchdown, We'll certainly take it. But I think those two guys give us a nice 1-2 punch, and we have to just not be impatient with the run game.
So it's going to be from this conversation, it's going to be a very strategic game based on the discipline of the defense and how strategically you can run your offense.
Yeah, I mean, again, this will probably be the best defense that we have faced so far. We think this is one of the best teams on our schedule as a whole. When you look at the 10 games, we're like this. We circled this one a long time ago. You're not going to get better if you don't play good teams, right? So this is a playoff team. This is the number 9 ranked team in the state. But I honestly do believe that we, Copper's Cove, is the best team they've played in their 3 games. So we'll find out what that looks like. And we know we got our work cut out for us. We're going to have to play good in all 3 phases.
All right, after this commercial break, we'll come back and we'll talk about the Dogs' defense versus the Eagles' offense. You're listening to Countdown to Kickoff on Bulldog Radio. Welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff, and we're going to talk about the Bulldog defense against the Eagles' offense. So, Coach, when you look at this matchup, what stands out about the Eagles and how they run their offense?
Two dynamic backs. They if you are a football fan of the area, you know the young man that rushed for all those yards at Lampasas last year, transferred to Georgetown. I think he's had a couple hundred yards the last 2 weeks rushing. So he's their slasher, number 23. Very quick, explosive. He can go to the house in a hurry. 28 is more of a big, bulkier, thicker kid, so it's very similar to us in the fact that they have a 1-2 punch, runs behind his pads well. Quarterback, I'm not so sure that he's as elite as they've had. He carries out his fakes very well. He sells boots and things like that nature. You can tell he's been to the quarterback camps and things of that nature. He's savvy that way, but I'm not so sure that he's the most electric guy back there throwing it, but they haven't needed him to be. They ran the ball very well, so they do like to run a lot of gap scheme, so you're going to see a lot of power. You're going to see a lot of counter, GT counter. You're going to see just regular old kick play, what we call the kick play, and so you're going to see some of that. So we've got to read our guards, we got to read our keys, and be where we're supposed to be. And I'm interested to see what they want to do because again, the last 2 weeks, the opponents they've played, they just pounded them. They just ran down their throats, and so we'll see if that's. I'm sure it's hard for them to get a complete feel on us off of Glenn because again of the unique offense, but they do have the Ellison film and they do have our scrimmage versus Lake Belton. So, but we expect them to be big up front and to try to establish the run with those two backs.
So it's going to be stop the run and force them to throw it over the top.
Yeah, you've got to, right? They've got an electric guy, number 7, and he's kind of their glass. But everybody else is good hard-nosed young men that, I think our focus will be on the 2 backs and number 7 right now.
So last week you wanted to see tackling improving. Did you see what you were looking for against Glenn, or did that still need to be improved for this week?
It absolutely needs to get better. Tacklebon did a great job. Again, if you're a football person and you know football, like Tacklebon was our +1 in the box for what Glenn does. They came out after halftime like a good coaching staff, good coaches. They adjusted. They went to a twins, which forced Tacklebon out of the box. Then they hit us with the back door on the trap and the belly. We didn't spill. As I said earlier, the defensive line did not do a great job of spilling, and then our linebackers were either getting over the top or getting caught up underneath. So against that particular scheme, those two units did not play very well. Their adjustment was to remove Tacklebon, who had 14 tackles, I think, from the box, which, kudos to them. Now we need our linebackers to step up and do what we've asked them to do. And we just didn't do a good enough job of stopping that. So, no, I think defense, any time, you're preaching good defense, you're working on tackling circuit every Monday, you're talking about fundamentals of tackling and safe tackling and making sure that your kids are rallying to the ball.
On top of tackling this week, what is it going to take to stop the Eagles' offense?
I think offensively, we've got to be able to keep the ball a little longer and keep them out of rhythm, keep them off the field, because they're a team that wants to establish the run and keep rhythm too. Although they can play action you and throw the ball to number 7. They are a spread offense, so you're still going to see some spread concepts out of them. So they are going to go 2x2 and 3x1, and they're going to try to throw the ball. But for us, to limit them, their offensive possessions is going to be key for us. Play good special teams.
So you would say this is more of a offense that we will see moving forward, and definitely not what we saw last week.
No, they're more like us than what last week was. Their offense is more the same type of stuff we're trying to do. Maybe less RPOs, but they're still trying to throw the verticals, and they're still trying to throw the bubble screen. They're still trying to run power and inside zone. They're still trying to do those things.
When we come back, we'll get the keys to victory for tonight's game against the Georgetown Eagles. You're listening to Countdown to Kickoff on Bulldog Radio. Welcome back to Countdown to Kickoff, where we're about to get the keys to victory. Coach, what are your keys to victory tonight?
I think it doesn't really vary from week to week. I think it's take control of the ball. Don't lose the football, tackle well, play good on special teams, win third down. Breaking it down further from that, from an offensive standpoint, we got to communicate better. We have to communicate when we see RPOs. We have to communicate when we see a removed player from the box and attack it. We have to score every possession. We feel like at this point we may have to be in a racetrack mentality with teams we play until we can get our defense figured out. So we have to score every possession, win the line of scrimmage. That's it. Eliminate stupid penalties. Defensively, we've got to get them in third and medium or third and long, because without trying to sound negative, I don't think that this young man on the other team can beat us consistently with the deep ball. Doesn't mean he can't throw the deep ball, but we need to get them in third and medium or third and long so that we have a better opportunity to get them off the field. If they're playing ahead of the sticks, it'll be a long night. And then from a special team standpoint, the third phase, every time we get a chance to kick an extra point, we can't have a bad snap. We can't have a bad hold. And the kicker can't surely kick the ball like a soccer ball. He's got to kick the ball to get it up in the air, because all of those things lead to bad breaks for the Bulldawgs.
Coach, thanks for joining me on this beautiful Countdown to Kickoff day. It's been I think it's been a great week to go out there and practice. I've been out on walking because it's been a really nice week.
Yes, sir.
As term of weather.
If you were a golfer, you'd be golfing, right?
That's my father-in-law. Again, thanks, Coach, and we'll see you after the game.
Thanks, Cole.
Now let's send it back up to the booth for Russ Cochran and Ben Pettit. I'm Cole Witter, and you've been listening to Countdown to Kickoff on Bulldog Radio.